Hi, my name is Tina and I'm a mute, so throughout this video, you will be hearing the free speech to text translator natural readers. I do not encourage or condone anything done in this video. Most of what I am about to say is against the rules. I hope you enjoy. Runescape, a vast MMORPG, but many players are unhappy. But why? It's a great game. The truth lies in the company that made it, Jagex, and the reason is many accounts are taken from their owners in many ways: phishing, hacking, even some gold selling sites. All against the rules, and some methods are even illegal, and these accounts are sold on the Runescape black market or used as a bot, most of the time for in real life cash. Most people never get their accounts back. But why does Jagex do nothing to stop this? They do. They have a wonderful support system in place for both in-game and out-of-game. By wonderful, I mean complete trash. False bans happen almost every day, false mutes happen every day, and the only way to appeal any of it is to give Jagex your time and or money through membership. That's right, you must pay to be able to appeal when you did nothing wrong but are punished. Reddit is no help unless you are famous and get a lot of upvotes, Discord servers are almost always no help, and some offenses are not even appealable. So how bad is their system? It's getting better slowly, but let's take a look at a few of my accounts. Any name that has stars is not me, and the message was said by someone else. I appealed most of these and it went through just fine, but I did have to buy a bond on the Grand Exchange to do so, but most of this has no context and a lot of chat is missing. So what did I gather from these? Jagex has a completely automated system where a real person doesn't come in until you appeal. Their Twitter at Jagex support is the same way, automated system, right down to the replies. How long has it been like this? And where does it stop? Well, when I got falsely banned, which shows on the last report, a macroing major by Jagex mod comment no less, I appealed through the official Runescape site, only to get a message from mod Anna. That's ANA, saying Jagex had proof, which they did not. At the time, I was on a 16-year-old computer that ran Windows XP, I was standing on the fire for a year and that day, I was doing quests on alts to progress them a little bit. I stayed logged in, I ignored people and did not answer any random event. The next day, I logged on and shortly after, the ban hit. But what intrigued me was this, I looked at mod Anna and found she stopped working at Jagex in 2015, so how is someone who doesn't even work there sending me an email 6 years later? This info was found on the RuneScape 3 official Wikipedia. I also looked on a Crumb video, link below, and saw a well-known multi-logger also got his accounts falsely banned. He too appealed and their automated system sent 4 messages 1 minute apart, from 2 different mods. But who are these mods? Mod Jupiter and Mod Mercury. I tried finding these names everywhere, but I could not. The conclusion was that these are not mods but the system pulled names from planets. I checked both old school and RuneScape 3 Wikipedias, I checked old updates, even forums, I came up with nothing. This may not have happened to you, but it could. Jagex has gone on record saying they do not ban for mass reporting or use random events to track macros and bots. But how was I using a macro or bot when all I was doing was standing still on a fire? A auto-clicker? Jagex has also gone on record saying they track your mouse when on screen. So me using a auto-clicker makes no sense only because I clicked my mouse wheel and dragged to rotate my camera to stay logged in. In game setting you can toggle on and off with no third-party client. Let's take a look. So given all of this, what caused this false ban of mine? Well, only 2 possibilities. 1, there's a corrupt mod falsely muting and banning people, which has happened before but a bit of a stretch for it to happen for 6 or more years and nobody notice it. Even mod Jeb was caught before 6 years. The other being mass reports because when I stood on that fire for 1 year, I got reported many times, some people even saying report me for standing on the fire. Their system is clearly automated, given the things I've just shown you, it's very clear when a real person steps into. Jagex has gone on record saying they do not ban or mute based on mass reports, but I think that's a lie, as their report system doesn't really work the right way. How do I know this? I have an account that is an adult website name, now this breaks rules 8, inappropriate name, 9, advertising websites and maybe even rule 1, seriously offensive language. As it is an adult site and this is not a 18+ game, it is 13+. I reported my own account, even had friends report it and months later, it still got no offenses, not a mute, not a ban, not even a forced name change, which, oddly enough, happened to my main. It was BJ for gold and after 2 other bad names, it got locked behind a forced name for a year. but there's a similar name out there too, Sex 4 Coins. After reporting it out of Salt, again, months later, nothing has happened. I even talked to the person on alt and the person even responded back, meaning there was no perm mute on the account. The system appears to scan for keywords or repeated actions, but what is the system that is so poorly made? It's called Botwatch, which is only partially put into old school Runescape. If I go to the Runescape 3 Wikipedia and search the Botwatch page, this is what I get. Botwatch doesn't focus on breaking the code of the botting software. Rather, it monitors an account's actions and determines whether or not it is human behavior. Certain checks are also in place to determine whether or not the game is being played using an official Jagex client. I'll put the link down below, so it clearly scans the account for actions, and it saw I stood in one place for hours on end without logging out. That's not normal human behavior. However, I also was on the official Jagex client at the time, not using RuneLite like you see right now. To read more on the Wikipedia page for Botwatch, the Botwatch system has banned players directly, making it the first automated banning system in RuneScape. This being said, Jagex is quite confident in the system and guarantees that all legitimate players will be safe. However, a major glitch did arise from an early flaw in the system, resulting in thousands of innocent players being wrongfully banned. This happened on September 27, 2012, which is not long after Botwatch was put in the game, September 18, 2012. Since then it has been updated, but it looks like these updates aren't doing their job. In old school, Botwatch is not fully put in. As for why, we don't know, but this could cause a lot of errors, which is why there are less cases of false bans in RuneScape 3, but even so, there are still cases, which is concerning. So how well can we trust Jagex and their word? Well, not very much, and let me explain why. Jagex only seems to take action when the problem becomes big enough, and then they take care of it and sweep what little issue there is left under the rug, usually not telling anyone anything. It happened with the mod Jeb case. He was fired, never heard any of it again. There are many instances of it. Not good enough? Well, let's look at polls. On the group Iron Man post, they said the poll passed, and if it didn't, they would not go against it. But is this really the case? They've gone against the polls before, for example, the Siren's Tome. Never heard of this item? That's because Jagex polled it to be released with the Nightmare boss as a drop. It is a magic book that goes in the shield slot, and the poll for it passed. But looking on the old school RuneScape wiki, it says this. Although the Siren's Tome passed its poll, along with the host content it would be a reward from, a later decision was made to not release it into old school RuneScape. Due to continued concerns on how it would devalue the arcane spirit shield. Link down below. A reasonable action, don't you think? But now, they don't mind crashing the prices of items by adding nerfs to them, like the blowpipe. Or even adding new items to crash others, like the Bow of Feyerdinen crashed the Twisted Bow and it did not recover after the market crash. They could have polled the Tome to be dropped by the hard mode Nightmare, Fosanese Nightmare, since they have no problem crashing prices now. But they didn't, they went against the polls and then even doubled down on it. So now to move on to Rendy, who Jagex claimed crashed worlds, duped gold, and bug abused. Channel link down below. Jagex made him out to be this horrible person. But is he? Let's take a look. Rendy finds bugs and experiments. He claims he sends them to Jagex before posting a video on them. As for how true this is, I can't say. But Rendy did go far with many bugs, and Jagex brought the hammer down on not only him, but the people helping him. The community was in an uproar. The bans were right in nature, to my surprise, but what came next was a sad sight to see. Jagex made an official claim Rendy duped gold, crashed entire worlds and affected the player base greatly. But did he? No, he actually showed proof of this. He not only showed he was away from computers with pictures he took of himself, but Jagex claimed he did it with harmful intent, but he made his account iron. Meaning he can in no way affect other players. The best he can do is kill them on a player killing world and can't even pick up the item, so the person gets everything back. How in any way is this harmful intent? Rendy claims he does this because he likes having unique accounts, and as someone who also does the same, I see truth in his words. I do not quote abuse bugs end quote, and what Rendy does is a bannable offense, but the fact Jagex went as far as to track him and his actions, which you will see in the video I link down below, where they magically add an update shortly after he does a bug. Rendy became a big enough issue and they made a post that turned many people against him, therefore sweeping him under the rug. So given all this, not to mention the very unhappy old school Runescape player base by many factors, not including the riots that happen, can we trust Jagex? They say their system is flawless, yet we see rule breakers and people who are doing nothing wrong being punished. They say they are working on it. Their quote solution end quote is to watch every program you run. But given all this, can you trust them? I trust Jagex about as far as I can throw them, so I say no. But who's really to blame? What people do this? It's not people, it's a single person, the last person you'd expect. It's not a dev, it's not a mod, it's the person at the top, the CEO Philip Mansell, or Mod Pips. Jagex has been bought and sold more than once, but the current owner praises Philip highly. But what is Jagex after? Why is such bad and reused content being released? It's not an issue of money, their profit is massive. More or better content requires a lot of money, which is what Jagex is really after. This theory is backed by their actions. Real-world trade, a bannable offense, selling or buying gold or even in-game items, along with services falls under this. But in Jagex's own words, obtaining an in-game item using in real-life money, isn't that what they do with bonds? It's an in-game item and you get it with in real-life money. Using it for membership or even a name change could fall under in-game service, could it not? But this is okay because Jagex is making the money. A common thought, but that's not good enough, so here's another. HD plugin for RuneLite was years in the making and stopped hours before release. Again, the community was in uproar, rioting infilator. Jagex once again doubled down, saying they were making their own version and would not allow it, even with the HD plugin maker saying he'd take his down when Jagex released theirs. A reasonable compromise, given that Jagex takes months and months to release their updates once announced in old school RuneScape. It wasn't until players unsubbed and stopped giving Jagex their money that they changed their mind. The next day, after numbers went down, they said they would allow it. This was all after Jagex went though the plugin themselves, helped fix bugs and whatnot. To be stopped at the last moment had to be a choice made from the top. It makes perfect sense from a business standpoint, which is what Jagex is, a business. They cause a problem only to fix it, which allows them to look good in the community. It shows how much they care and it works. People calm down. But the game doesn't get better, as it is manipulative. That's right, Jagex is manipulating the player base. But is it only the player base? No. The people who do actual work on the game are unhappy too. Some have even quit. A ex-dev went off record saying that the CEO Jagex has had in the past has stopped development of projects. Just because they weren't as good at the most popular things at the time, employees have also quit due to using outdated software, just to save money. Jagex can, have and will continue to make comments on some things, but I find more than not, they are untrue or something caused this. It's seen throughout the game since it's been made. Many more cases of all this, but I'll let you be the judge. Given all this, do you trust Jagex? On that note, I thank you for watching. Give the video a like and subscribe. The next video will be about the 2007 Scape Reddit. Is it good or is it bad? We'll find out in the next video. Until then, keep on flexing my flexers and have a nice day.